Driven, RE/MAX Hallmark's real estate show, with your hosts, Johnder, Perez, and Dan Salhany.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. There's we had a little bit of a technical glitch with streaming onto our live Facebook feed, but that's okay. The Driven show today, we have the honor of having the wonderful Brittany Goving with us. So Brittany is a realtor working out of our Innis office, which is in the Orleans community of Ottawa, so east end of the city, although she works pretty much the entire marketplace these days. So Brittany's been a realtor for 11 years. She's a mom, she's a wife, and a very hard worker, and we're very proud of Brittany's accomplishments over the last 11 years, and specifically, I would say more so over the last 24 to 36 months. She's had some incredible growth, and we really appreciate you being here, Brittany, to share with your peers and to give some insight as to what you attribute. Well, first of all, how you got started in real estate. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you got through some challenges, obviously, of being a newer agent and a younger agent coming into the marketplace, and then how you've evolved and then been able to handle the interesting times that we've just gone through over the last 16 or 17 months, because you've had phenomenal growth in your business. And I know that you've had some creative strategies that you've used to be able to get over some inventory hurdles and whatnot that we're hoping that you can share with us. So without further ado, welcome, Brittany. Thank you for being here. My name is Dan Salhany. I'm one of the hosts of The Driven Show, and I'm here with my partner,
Johnder Perez. Welcome, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you for being here, Johnder, as well. And we've got a couple of guests that are on here. So the show is going to be recorded. We will be uploading the final version onto our Hallmark hub, and then of course it's going to be uploaded onto our YouTube channel for future viewings and so forth. So if you miss anything during the show and you want to recap back in, you'll have access to that. So don't be shy to ask where you can get that information. So Brittany, welcome, and thank you for being here. Why don't you start off with just giving us a little bit of insight about yourself, who you are, and a little bit of history.
Well, thank you for inviting me on the show. So I've been in real estate for 11 years now. Sorry, I have my nerves here.
No, it's all good.
So I started back, I guess. Well, I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I was younger, I guess. I took business in university because I knew I wanted to do something, I wanted to be in business for myself. But once I graduated, I still wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So, I went into the 9-to-5 thing, but I was pretty miserable. We bought our first house at 23. We bought a new build for Minto, and I remember just kind of going onto the website, to look at our model, and we kind of watched the price go up every month. So that was kind of exciting to see. And by the time we moved in, we had quite a bit of equity. And then within 6 months of moving into our first home, we bought our second home. And I think from there, I was pretty well hooked on to real estate. So I was still doing my 9-to-5 job, coming home, taking the bus downtown and coming home and just basically crying all night because I was just so miserable. I decided at that point I needed to get my real estate license. So I did that. And then eventually when I started real estate, I actually started part-time because I'm kind of the person that will research something to death. I don't like to do anything, half-ass. I like to, I study things, and I can't even buy a pair of shoes without researching for 2 weeks before I make that decision. So I think it was really my spouse who was really pushing me to quit my 9-to-5 job. And it was scary because I had literally worked I'd had a steady paycheck from the day I turned 15 until that point in time. So it was scary to not have a regular paycheck. But eventually I did take the plunge, and I haven't looked back since then.
So you shared something with us yesterday, because whenever we have these shows, guys, we do a little dry run just to get some insight and some information. But so you kind of came into this with an entrepreneurial spirit. You mentioned that from your parents and stuff like that, they were independent. It was kind of already embedded in you that you were not going to live your life working for somebody else. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That, and then you mentioned that you came home every night working from your, when you were doing your normal job, and you'd cry.
Yeah. And I mean, it's true. And I literally would cry, and I had anxiety, and I would just I couldn't even sleep at night. I was just I just felt like I was just in the wrong place. I almost felt like it was like a prison. It just felt really foreign to me to be doing the 9-to-5 thing. So I started part-time because we had, a new home, and we had a mortgage payment. And as much as, my spouse said, we're going to be okay. I just need it. I just couldn't let go of it. Luckily my job at the time, they actually let me go down to part-time. That was helpful. And but eventually I needed to, leave and focus on the real estate full-time. So.
How quickly did it take you to realize that? And it's the reason I say this is because we know that we do have some people that transition and that have that fear factor of moving out of the security blanket of having that, that revenue and that income in the same place to go to this unknown world of real estate. So how long before you realized that, oh, I gotta do something here for me to really take this on?
I think it probably took me longer than it should have. I should have left it sooner. It was sort of like a security blanket for me, especially once they let me go down to 2 days a week. I guess I still kind of held on to it until I just realized that, I didn't need it anymore. And, I just wanted to focus on my real estate full time. And, I had a supportive spouse who just, he really pushed me as well. And, so it probably took me longer than it should have, but I worked on Preston Street, and the office was a couple streets over. So even before I had actually finished I just started my license, I would actually go on my lunch hour at my full-time job. I would run over by foot to the Bronson office and the trainings every lunch hour, and then run back to finish my afternoon.
Well, I really commend you on that, because I know, and I've known you for quite some time, through both periods of time when you were with the brokerage and so forth, that training has always been a brilliant thing. And I know that for our office meetings that we run on a regular basis, like Brittany is there, especially during our physical office meetings. That was a huge thing for you. And I know that you got a lot out of those meetings. And I'm hoping that as we chat in this conversation, you can share the benefits of some of the stuff that you've extracted. So I know Johnder's got a question for you.
And so there were a lot of things that we talked about in our pre-interview yesterday, especially with, you had that natural entrepreneurial spirit. And I know you're going to be talking a lot about your secrets today, but why don't we ask you this, Brittany? What is the secret? Ultimately, what is the secret to your success in real estate? What has it been?
I don't think there's anything groundbreaking. I don't think I have any, crazy secrets. I think that I've definitely found something that I'm passionate about, and I think that translates into my work. I know my clients, they all, I think, all of my clients are sort of lifelong clients. I think I'm definitely like a relationship agent. I don't advertise, so I definitely, when my clients feel like they're the only clients, for sure. I'm also an investor myself. So, sometimes, I should be doing more social media, but when I do, I try and post certain things. I've posted, I did one post with my daughter, their hands out, doing like a star pose in one of our rental properties. And I wrote a little, piece on that. And that seemed to, that people like that sort of thing. So, I get a lot of questions about, my personal experience in real estate too. And I wouldn't say I have the gift of gab that most real estate agents have. They can just talk and, so eloquently. And that's a bit of a struggle for me. But when we start talking about real estate, I can hold my own sometimes as well. So I think too, I mean, you really have to find your tribe in this business. Like, I feel like you really have to align yourself with the best of, even, the best photographer, the best stager, even other agents, right? Like, that's been a huge, and especially the last couple of years for my business, is just finding other, like-minded realtors. And I mean, there's certainly a time and a place for exclusive listings and for, selling homes off market. And this last stretch of the market has, there's definitely, you should be going to market, but there are certain circumstances where, a seller doesn't want to sell on market. And I want to be the realtor at that right place and time, with the connections that I have for my clients to find them those off market deals. So I think I've also been good at finding opportunities off market and just kind of, without, the cold calling, because
right. So that's
I would rather pull out 10 teeth than make one cold call or door knock. I mean, I've just been able to find other means to find those listings.
And so that was what I was going to get into, Brittany, is that that you did talk about. I mean, you're very passionate, and you found your entrepreneurial spirit and how real estate really brought that out in you. But you also defined basically what it is that you aren't. Like, you don't like the cold calling aspect of it. And so how was that journey formed in terms of, when you got into the real estate business from a corporate job? You went from something that was very structured in the sense that, somebody had to tell you, somebody told you, these are the things you have to do, these are the hours you have to do it in. And then you transitioned to part-time, and then of course, part-time job, then full-time real estate. So how did you go on this discovery process to find out, and to share with us some of our hallmarkers and some agents joining us who are new to the business, let's say, and they're kind of still struggling or kind of finding their way? What was that process like starting out? How did you discover what you like to do, what you didn't like to do, and who you were, your identity, and what worked for you? And also, how did you build that tribe?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me has just been social media, and most specifically probably Facebook. I mean, I would literally, when I had no clients in the beginning, I would just sit on Facebook and I would just reconnect with people. Like, I had I don't know, at the time, maybe 600 people on my Facebook, and most of them I hadn't really talked to. So I would just reach out to them, and I would not to talk about real estate, because I mean, the conversation always naturally comes back to that, right? So it would just be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in, since high school, or since, wherever we had last spoke, and I asked them, how they were doing, or I would comment on something on Facebook, only about self-promotion, but it, or talking about real estate, but it always sort of came back to that. So it was really making those personal connections.
So
that was
I
my
know that,
biggest.
Sorry, I know that you're a huge community, a huge advocate of a certain community, and mostly the four-legged kind. And I know that that's been sort of your trademark, and a lot of your business has been, your website, it's Fetching Homes, right? It correlates to, to the dog world. And I remember way back when you had a lot to do with the rescue world and so forth and so forth. So, it sounds like you've brought your, what's passionate to your heart into very much into your real estate business, because you're always talking about it. So has that impacted your real estate world as well?
I mean, it has. There's so many things. Like, I certainly haven't figured it all out, and there's so many more things that I would like to do. And I think really sort of working more on that aspect. Like, I would like to, I do support, certain rescues, and I try and donate, but I haven't really connected it to my business and as much as I would like to. Like, I don't advertise it, but, so I'm gonna, I did used to advertise sort of, I would make a donation with every home sold, but I just haven't been good at advertising that. So that's something certainly to work on, and I would like to do more for that. Again, it's just finding time, but
it's funny, from the outside, from the outside, from an observation perspective, you know, you probably don't notice it because it's just natural for you to do it. But that, and being a former dog owner, because my pet passed away, unfortunately, my boy passed away.
Sorry.
But you know what? It resonates with people. And I've seen it resonate with me. And when I see that you post stuff about somebody in the community or somebody's gone missing, or, you know, this community's having trouble. And so you're just doing it from the heart for no apparent reason. But as a business person, you know, people see that. And I think that the message in this is that, you know, your passion and whatever it is, and it's very community based, is so important. And I would say, don't kid yourself. I'm sure a lot of people on your social platforms, like myself, have seen that stuff and have seen that giving back portion that you don't even have to talk about it. Like it's just happening. It's just happening. And you know, I know that your business in the last 36 months has grown exponentially. And I'm pretty sure that some of it has had to do with, you know, you're caring about community and about, you know, what's really important to a lot of others. So I just wanted to get into another question, and maybe, you know, we'll bounce back and forth, but Brittany's a mom. She's got 2 small kids. She actually has 3 kids because, you know, that the other one's the big kid that she's got to take care of as well. How do you manage that? And I think that that's probably a very common thing with a lot of the people that are on this call, and especially in today's new environment that we're dealing with families being at home and whatnot. How are you coordinating all that and doing the volume of business that you've been able to maintain?
Well, I think luckily I have a very supportive and understanding family. But I mean, the nice thing about real estate, and what a big draw for me for being in, you know, in real estate or self-employed, is like the flexibility. I mean, yes, you know, we work a lot of hours, but you know, I'll never miss, you know, a Christmas concert or even a dentist appointment for my kids. But yes, I'm not going to be there, you know, every Saturday and Sunday. So, I mean, it's, you know, I get more time with them in the morning, maybe, you know, before school, and, you know, after school, like you know, because of my flexibility, they don't have to be in before and after school programs. But at the same time, you know, I'm away more weekends than, you know, someone that works in 9 to 5. So it's a balancing act, but I feel like at the end of the day, I spend just as much, if not more time than some people that work, you know, the 9 to 5.
But you're aware of it, right? So you're aware of it. So I know that when we talked yesterday, you said, you know, like, I make sure, for example, you know, getting up early in the morning is not like a huge thing in the Goving environment, right? But you make sure that that time spent together is like super quality time.
Well, yeah, luckily my kids aren't like early morning people either. So we're usually struggling to get out of bed, and Nick will be coming home from a run with the dogs, and we'll be just getting out of bed. But then, you know, we have time to, you know, get ready in the morning together. And I mean, it's different now with COVID, especially with my son doing, you know, virtual schooling because schools are closed. So, I mean, luckily Willa, my daughter, is still in daycare, so that's a huge help.
So let's take it then from not being morning person, not being a morning family. So let's use that as the start to our next question, because we've heard from a lot of realtors. Some wake up, you know, 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. Others wake up a little bit later, 8, 9 maybe. So what does a typical day of Brittany then look like? So let's say you do get up. What are the first things that you do? You know, with kids now, it's different because of COVID. They may be learning at home. Some, you know, when they go back to school, they're back at school. So take us through your day, a typical day, what it looks like.
Well, I mean, I would say I don't have a typical day, and that was one of the draws for this business. But I mean, I could, like today, I mean, I wake up usually with one kid in the bed. This morning it was both, but and you know, we'll have breakfast together, and you know, my son is, you know, he's on virtual school, so we'll get him set up for school. One of us will drop my daughter off at daycare, and then I'm usually, you know, I try and touch base with at least a few people a day that I haven't, you know, just soft touches, just to say, hey, how's it going? And I also try and, reach out to a few agents as well every day too. I mean, I like, it's always good to talk to other realtors too, because especially in this market, it's always changing, but it's also an opportunity for me to say, hey, like, what do you have coming up? What are your buyers looking for? Because I mean, there's always opportunities there as well. Because I mean, well, maybe, I mean, there's some more inventory coming up lately, but it was pretty dry for a while. So I was really looking for opportunities before, and now we're seeing some more come on the market. Maybe now I'm shopping around my listings a bit more before they hit the market, but.
So I know, so Brittany's being a little humble here, guys, okay? I have never seen anybody, sorry, I'm gonna bring it out here. I have never seen anybody dig as hard for opportunities for their buyers as Brittany Goving. And no, I mean that because I see that, and I see it in your posts. I see it in your, you talk about networking on a regular basis, and we talked about this yesterday. And she's got a huge sphere of people that she's created connectivity, and she's a nice person too, so people like her. And I think that that's gone a long way for people to share with her in our industry about upcoming listings. And can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I know that you don't wait for MLS. Can you talk about how you created those opportunities and the portals that you looked at, and what you and how you asked for that business?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, pre-COVID, the weekly office meetings were amazing. I mean, I made some really strong connections with a few agents, and we did several, off-market deals for whatever reason why, and a lot of these times too, it was, whatever full market value was or above, something that's, either the sellers just didn't want to go to the market. I mean, I have 2 listings right now that, I'm shopping around because the sellers just don't want to go to the market for one reason or another, because of either fears of COVID or for other personal reasons. So the physical office meetings were great. I mean, even the virtual meetings, I mean, maybe it's not, can't make that same connection with people, with other agents, but the physical meetings were profound for my business, I found. So that was a hard part with when COVID started, but I'm really happy that we progressed to the virtual meetings. I mean, I've printed off flyers when in January, when there was literally nothing on the market. I had buyers that were quickly getting outpriced of the market. Every house that sold was just not looking good for them. So I knew I'd have to find them something off market. So I printed off a bunch of flyers, and I went to the neighborhood that they wanted to be in. But with COVID, it's a bit, well, you certainly can't door knock, which isn't a problem for me because I wouldn't do it anyways. But even dropping off flyers, like, I don't know, some people are super sensitive with COVID. So I sat in my car for probably half an hour, just trying to gather the strength to be able to even drop a flyer off at the front door. And I finally just chickened out, and I just went to all the community mailboxes and I had a roll of tape with me and just taped my flyers to every single community mailbox in the area. Just writing, basically, I had, buyers who I wrote kind of their story, and I wrote, he was a military member. I just kind of pulled it, a few heartstrings, and just said, we're cash buyers and ready to go. And, I drove home, and I still had like a whole stack of flyers. So Nick, my spouse, he was like, "What do you mean? Like, why do you still have so many flyers? You were there for like 2 hours. What were you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I taped a few to a mailbox, and then I drove all the way home." So as he was, making fun of me for not being able to deliver door to door, I got a text from someone that had seen my flyer, and said that they wanted to sell their house and they knew what they wanted, and to give them a call. And my clients bought that listing. I also, sorry, my printer's going off here, I think for my son's school. I also put ads up on Kijiji, and I couldn't even tell you the leads that I've gotten just from putting an ad up on good old Kijiji. So that and really connecting with other agents has been,
So it's really just finding what works for you, and that's the important
yeah,
message here is that you're
yeah,
you all know. I mean, everybody watching in on this, you all know what your personality is and what you like doing. And I mean, certainly you can change your mindset about certain things, but when you find something that you enjoy doing and you find a success from it, you're able to scale it up as big as Brittany has done, and able to get success from it.
yeah. I mean, there's not, I guess I've really learned that there's just like not one right way to do things. I mean, you have to do what works for you. And, you know, for me, it just doesn't involve door knocking or apparently delivering flyers door to door. So, I mean, I've
Well,
just have to get creative.
and you know, you use the word creative and whatnot, and what I see is action, right? Like I see you doing so many different variables. You know, you mentioned Kijiji, you mentioned that you talk to your database, you mentioned that, you know, I know you're part of, you know, you've got a mission, a personal mission that you talk about to your platform and so forth, about like, you know, a caring concern about things that are going on. You show up to the meetings. I know that for a fact. You come to the online meetings, and you know, it's always every week. It's kind of like I look forward to the, you know, the haves and wants that we do, and we ask you guys, you know, do you have any haves and wants? And I'm waiting for Brittany's list, and she said to me yesterday, she said, you know, at the beginning of every meeting, I'm basically jotting down everything that I'm going to ask for. So there's a preparedness that comes with it as well, right? Like you're constantly in motion thinking about opportunities. And if they don't, you know, I got agents that say, oh, nothing's coming on MLS. And I think to myself, oh my God, you got to go sit with Brittany, because like she's got all these different solutions of these things that, you know, it's Kijiji ads, right? Like everybody's thinking that Kijiji's dried out and is gone by the wayside and whatnot. Well, in reality, I know that you've done some transactions by just posting or looking for opportunities for your buyers on simple free platforms.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't cost you a thing.
Yeah. No, I can't even believe how many people I mean, I just threw it up there just to try it, but I couldn't believe the response I was getting just from people that were just like, yeah, I want to sell my house. Like, do you have a buyer for this? Or, you know, so, I mean, it's also about making, I think, other connections too in like parallel industries. Even, you know, we had a big addition done on our home a couple of years ago, and I just had a really strong connection with the general contractor. And we've just had a really, you know, I brought him business and he sent me a lot of business. So that's just another avenue, but there's just so many people. You just have to really align yourself with, like, you know,
it's expanding your sphere, right? And that's the key thing is,
yeah.
I don't think you can limit it just to the people that you know. You've got to step outside the box and look at, there's so many opportunities, and there's so many, and I know that you've capitalized on those opportunities with other business people and so forth in your marketplace. So talk to us a little bit about your motivation. What motivates Brittany Goving? I mean, you've had a spectacular, I mean, unbelievable start to 2021. You've done probably, I mean, you've surpassed the average by about 7 times what the average realtor does in a year. You've done it in 5 or 6 months. So talk to us about that. What motivates you to perform and to do this?
I mean, well, parts of it was just seeing the rate of the prices, how quickly they were going up. I was scared for my buyers and just trying to find them whatever I possibly could to, you know, to make sure they got their foot in the door and in the market, to, you know, to even be able to, you know, find a home. I mean, I mean, I'm passionate about real estate, obviously, too. So, I mean, I live, you know, my reward at the end of the day, once my day is done, once the kids are in bed, is I just sit on the MLS and look at all the solds and, you know, the lists and the sale prices and all the stats. And then as soon as I see, you know, if I see any property that's, you know, on a street of a client, a past client, or I know a client in that area, or they have the same model, you know, I'm reaching out to them. I'm just saying, hey, did you know, like, this house, you know, beside you, or the same model just sold for this? And I've had, you know, and then sure enough, usually a few weeks later, a lot of these people that are, you know, on the fence of selling say, you know, now we want you, can you sell us? Can you get that price for us? So, but it's not always, it's just, you know, it's a passion. So I don't do that with the expectation that they're going to do that, but it's just, I get so excited about it, I have to share that information with someone else. So
And that feeling,
it's a passion.
and that feeling, that's what transfers. I mean, right from the beginning, you said that you had a passion about this, and that's what you discovered right from the start, and that's sort of what has led you through this journey. And let's face it, if you don't feel good or confident about something, the person you're speaking to it about, your client, will know that. And so, Brittany, what we like, when we first met yesterday on our pre-interview, I felt that kind of connection you have and that passion you have for real estate, and just getting excited about what you do. Because let's face it, for all of you watching this, there's not many people that can do what we can do, what Brittany has done. And there's not a lot of people that can be passionate about the amount of work that is, because this is a lot of work. There's a lot of sacrifices, especially when you have a family. There's a lot of time that you're not going to be able to spend with family, and that requires a lot of, good, managing of your time, a committed family who understands. But at the same time, you also have the flexibility and the freedom when you do want to spend that time to just shut everything else out and focus on what's the most important thing, which is your family. So, so Brittany, you brought it through such a great journey in terms of how you, from a 9-to-5, became a success in the real estate field, and by all means, your success is continuously growing. So it's also still a journey that you've got many years to enjoy. What would be your advice? So some of us watching this right now, are struggling because of the current environment that we're in. Some of us may be having the best year ever, but they're kind of looking for that next level, or, what's that next sense of fulfillment that I need to get? What would your advice be to realtors watching this right now?
I mean, I guess there's really, obviously there's no substitute for, hard work. And I mean, you have to be passionate about it too, because it can't just be a job. Otherwise, I don't think you can ever be truly successful until it's, you enjoy what you do. I mean, I would just say, like, if it's not working, then find something that is working. That, you just have to keep trying new things and be persistent and show up. I mean, that's half of it, is just showing up. I mean, for your clients. I mean, I'm always there. My clients know that, they can always, I would just say showing up and hard work. And I mean, for me, one of my goals this year is to do certainly more video. I think that's where it's at too. I think just getting yourself out there and being top of mind for clients too. I mean, I'm guilty of not being consistent on that, but that's something, when I find the time, I would certainly like to do more of. I mean, I do a video for all of my listings for sure. But more, I think, personal, and seeing, just being top of mind for your people on your, on your sphere.
So one of the things that's really interesting, and we're getting pretty close to wrapping up, and then if you guys have some questions, we'll do a quick Q&A if anybody's got any specific questions for Brittany. But we always put a title to our show, and because we upload it onto YouTube and whatnot. And I think one of the things that's really evident here, and it's evident for the people that know you and have gotten to know you really well, is that you mentioned it earlier when you said that you realized in January that the momentum of the marketplace, and you were really concerned for your clients that they were going to get priced out of the market. So you like went into like hyper speed to figure out some solutions here, right? And started looking at other avenues to get inventory for them. And I know that you were all over a whole bunch of meetings and social media pages and asking questions, and who's got this and who's got that and so forth. And I'm sure that was impactful to your personal life as well, because it takes a lot of time, and it also takes a lot of mental stress, right? It's real easy to go to MLS guys and just look at the MLS listings, and if they come, they come, and if they don't, well, you just wait. It's a little bit more difficult to actually go and proactively go out there and seek out some stuff. But one of the things is that you're so passionate about, and you said it a few seconds ago when you said, my clients know that they can reach out to me for anything, and so forth and so forth. And that resonates. And I think that also has attributed to such an escalation in your business, and how people are just genuinely reaching out to you for advice and for real estate opportunities and so forth. And it probably comes across in, that letter that you stuck on the mailbox. The way that you wrote that letter or the way that, you know, that message that you gave to that consumer world that you don't even know, that somebody actually put their hand up and said, hey, this resonates with me and I'd like to talk to this person. So there's a lot of thought that goes into your, you know.
I mean, even on the Kijiji post, like I put like that personal letter. I mean, I just kind of gave a little bit, like just a little insight into them. And I, you know, the responses I get were from sellers were, oh, that poor couple, do they still want to buy? Like I have this or I have that. So that was interesting for me. And I have shared that letter with a few other agents, but I mean, obviously,
but that's marketing though, right? I mean,
yeah.
you're marketing an opportunity, and I think it's more than just a salesmanship type of thing. It's actually looking at, okay, what's going to, what, you know, you figured it out. You just said, I've shared it with a couple of other agents. So there's some people that are struggling to get the phone ringing or to create opportunity for themselves, but you've taken the time to figure out, okay, this works, this doesn't. You know, this terminology works, this doesn't. But we've got a great title for today's show. And I think it totally reflects on who you are, Brittany, and it's sell more with soul, right? And I think that you bring, we came up with that yesterday, and that just like, boom, it was automatic. And we're like, this is brilliant. And this totally resonates who you are and how much soul you bring into the interactions with your clients, the interactions with your peers and other realtors, and the feedback that we get as to when somebody deals with you. I mean, you know, not getting a complaint about a realtor that's been in business for 11 years is pretty brilliant. And that just showcases how much caring and, you know, how important your reputation is in the marketplace. And I know that you do some business because of that reputation and what you've, what you've fostered with your peers. So,
and I think, even saying to new agents too, like that would be one of my biggest, you know, pieces of advice is to definitely like play nice with other agents. Like they're your competition, but they're your allies too. And I mean, there's just so many opportunities to grow your business through your peers, and, you know, even to help your clients. There's just, you know, especially if you want to be in the business for a long time, like you don't know when your next deal is going to be with that agent again. So, I mean, and everyone, you know, nobody wants to deal with, you know, someone that's nasty, and I don't come across that very often, luckily. But I mean, it's just, I would say, you know, just be nice.
nurture those relationships, right?
And keep in touch, and, you know, just treat people like you'd want to be treated. And, you know, just because you're, you know, negotiating, representing your client doesn't mean, you know, it can't be a win-win and everyone can come out, you know, feeling good.
It's that human element. At the end of the day, it's a human person-to-person business that we have here, and so it's great to see your passion and that soul that you have for it. So it's fantastic. So does anybody have any questions for Brittany? Brittany shared so much with us. I'm sure a lot of you are intrigued about what she does, or would like to kind of find out, you know, how you could implement it or utilize some of the inspiration you got from her into your business. So now's the time to do it.
That's fine if you don't. That's not a problem. And you can, you know, what I'm doing, guys, is I've already posted Brittany's contact information. Brittany, I hope you're okay with that. So if any of you, because we've got people from multiple regions here, whether you're, you know, a mature person in the business or a new person entering into the real estate industry, you know, I really have to recommend that you reach out to one another. These are great networking opportunities for you guys as well. Brittany works multiple facets of the marketplace in Ottawa. I know right now she's working with a builder on the outskirts of Ottawa for investment purposes and so forth. So if you've got those investor clients, or you're struggling to find them inventory, or just to come up with some ideas, Brittany's contact information is going to be posted onto our chat here, and it'll also be posted onto our YouTube channel and so forth. So, you know, feel free to reach out to her, send her a message. Connections are great, guys. It's one of the wonderful benefits of being part of this awesome RE/MAX Hallmark family, is you know, with so many different regions and so many people joining us from multiple places. This is great. You know, I've got Marty McSweeney on here. So Marty is a coach, is a business coach, and does a lot of real estate coaching and whatnot. And he's got a really great comment here about all the sacrifices that you've done to do this business. And he's asking, what drives you to do what you do? Like, what's the end goal for you, Brittany?
I mean, I think like growing up, I mean, my mom, I saw her struggle. She was a single mom, and, I saw how stressed she could be over money. And just, I mean, I guess I just don't want that same struggles. I just don't want my kids, I mean, I've seen what real estate could do for my mom too. I mean, my mom, when my grandfather passed, who was actually a real estate investor as well, and he was a smart man. He was an engineer, and I think a lot of, I tried to model after him as well. He was probably the most successful person in our family, and a lot of that success was through real estate. So when he passed, my mom had inherited some money, and my mom had, she had struggled for a long time. It's hard being a single mom. So we took that money and I helped her invest into real estate. And this was, so she bought a few properties, maybe I think in 2012 or 2013. And this, like today, her equity has just grown, and I've just, it's just nice to see her not struggle anymore, not just because of real estate. She's done other things now, but I just, I think financial security, and just, I personally have bought 3 properties already this year, so I see the huge value in real estate. So I also need to make money to be able to afford things like buying properties. And we have a couple horses here at our property, and we have a big property here that's a money pit, but I love it because it's I guess I have some expensive habits, and I also I want financial security for myself and for my family, for my kids. And
the really cool thing in all of that, Marty, and I'll just speak to that, is and this is just by the conversations that Brittany and I have had, I think she really cares about helping people to achieve some of those freedoms as well with their real estate investments and so forth. And I've seen that in your perseverance to make sure that they're getting, that they're getting into the market in the timely fashion, because we all know that the probabilities of this sliding backwards is slim to none.
And my mom has just purchased her first split this year that is going to be going in the market in the next month or so. So I'm it's nice to see her. It's nice to see her. I'm proud of her. So, and it's funny, she calls me her mom sometimes too. So I'm kind of her mom and her financial advisor as well. So
it's great when you can you can be part of those processes for so many people, including family and people that in your social circles and so forth. And we've got that ability, which is so great, to help them build. And I know that you've structured, and that's the other thing, and I think, again, you're being pretty humble in this interview a little bit. I know that you've structured plans for people, right? Like you do some planning and some thought process behind the fact that, they've got equity in X house.
Mhm.
What can we do to help them take that equity out, to build on that, as opposed to sitting on it? And we've had a couple of conversations around that. So
I have clients who just bought in January, and they're already taking out the equity from that house now that has just grown in equity since January, and now they're buying a second investment property. So.
Did you help them with that?
Yep. And that was an off-market property as well. So
so you're creating opportunities for people, and I love that. And I think that that's the passion part. And that's where somebody goes from doing 10 or 12 deals a year, or 15 deals a year, or whatever that number is, to all of a sudden doing 35 and 40 and 50, and you still have a happy life. Like you've just made it, all come together. I know we need to find you a very good administrator in the very near future, because you've got so much going on. So that's the next thing that we're working on. So Johnder, any other questions, guys? Don't be shy.
So we don't have any other questions, but I know a lot of you have contact information for Brittany, so you can definitely connect with her. If you're from out of Ottawa, send her referrals for your clients who are looking in Ottawa for sure, especially if you want your clients to make a lot of money the way Brittany's clients are making. So Brittany, thank you so much for joining us today. Such an inspirational story that you've shared with us, and definitely for many of us who are seeking that sort of inspiration. You certainly gave it to us today. So we wish you much more continued success with everything that you do. And we look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. And we
Our
really
pleasure.
appreciate your time. And thank you all for joining us. We know that, taking a little bit of your time, to listen to these things. Hopefully you picked up a couple of nuggets, a couple of ideas, and certainly feel free to reach out because Brittany's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure she would love to expand her connections within the different regions. So have an awesome day, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, this will be uploaded to The Driven Show, which you'll find on the Hallmark Hub and onto our YouTube channel. So have a wonderful day.
Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye
Thanks,
for now,
Shelley. You
everybody.
too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.